Obviously, I have a disability. I think the technical term for it is being very handsome.
I don't know how many people can pinpoint the exact moment where everything changed for them. I can.
Welcome back. I'm so excited. My next guest is the very funny, boundary-breaking comedian Ryan Niemiller. Hey, how are you, Ryan?
Good, good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
You are hysterical. You're going to bring me some funniness today, I can tell. I mean, you killed it with your set last week. We were dying laughing. How did it feel when everyone was chanting golden buzzer?
It was a little bittersweet because obviously somebody had stolen the golden buzzer before that. But it is nice to know that I gave a performance that Howie would have given the golden buzzer. So, hey, I moved on, no harm, no foul. Now we just prepare for the semifinals.
I mean, what did you think of the praise from legendary Howie Mandel? I mean, was that a true moment for you? Was that like, oh my God, I feel like I've made it?
Oh, it's been wonderful, even throughout the whole, season 14 into Champions, I've been telling, friends and family this when they ask, I would have been heartbroken if Howie Mandel didn't like me.
Yeah.
Because he's a legend in stand-up comedy. So if he would have been like, you're not funny, Ryan, he's probably right because he knows what he's talking about.
Fair enough.
So
Who
for
do you
him to
think
have
is,
my back has been amazing.
Who do you think is the hardest judge, like hardest person to make laugh? If you make them laugh, you know that you're golden.
Well, Heidi Klum has a history of not really liking the stand-up comics over the years. So I'd be lying. I'm a pretty confident guy on stage. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at least a little skeptical when I went up there. I was like, oh, this could be a little weird. But hey, I even won her over. So
Yeah, absolutely right. You won us all over. Well, you took third place last summer on AGT, and now you're headed to the semifinals. Let's relive that moment from last week.
Ryan, you were really funny tonight, but I'm not a huge fan of comedy. But tonight I am a huge fan of comedy, and I'm gonna go with you, Ryan.
I mean, what was that moment like for you?
It's still a little surreal. Like, you would think, some people ask, like, oh, you've been on AGT, you just were on last season and now you're on this. It's getting old hat, right? And I'm like, no, it's still an amazing feeling because, there's so much pressure and AGT is such an odd, like, how do you compare stand-up versus a danger act versus a singer? So you just never know what's going to happen. So to have them want me to move on, I mean, it's still I get a little goosebumpy.
Yeah, I mean, what a good moment. I mean, speaking of which, a comedian has yet to win first place on any season of America's Got Talent. Why do you think, Mr. Confidence, it can be you?
Well, I mean, it has to happen eventually, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm a Chicago Cubs fan. They eventually won the World Series, so why can't a comedian eventually win? So, I think it could be me because, I mean, I've worked really hard for this, and I think I have a style of humor that connects to people on a real level. I'm not just up there talking about cats or, things like that. I'm talking about me. I'm connecting as me as a person, and I think people resonate with that. So, hey, why not me?
Hey, yeah, I agree with you. I hope it's going to take you sooner than the Cubs. I hope it takes less than 100 years for a comedian to win. I'm putting my money on you. Who would you say is your biggest competition right now that you see?
The biggest competition, I mean, they were my favorite act from season 14, but, The Unbeatable is tough to beat. Like, I watched their Golden Buzzer performance that Howie gave them. That should have been mine. I will remind people. But I got to know them really well over the season 14, and then in Vegas when I was out there. They are incredible, and they're going to be tough to beat. But again, it's just hard to tell. You don't know what's coming from. This is not just America's Got Talent All-Stars. This is Got Talent from around the world All-Stars. So anything can happen, really.
Yeah, this is the best of the best. I mean, what's interesting about you is you're a stand-up comic, and most people get their, chops basically performing in front of their family, and then 2 to 3 people, and then 50 people and more. I mean, going back to last year, what was your motivation to just initially compete on AGT? Like, why that huge stage for you?
AGT was the route that I wanted to go because I think having a disability like I have, part of what was going to help me was being able to connect my story. So getting something like late night is a dream of mine, but if I get late night, you go up there for 3, 4 minutes, you do your set, you move on with your life. AGT is great because not only do you get to show what you have talent-wise, but you also get to show who you are as a person and connect. And I think having such a noticeable disability that people are going to be a little, standoffish about to start, being able to kind of talk my way through that and connect past that, AGT was a no-brainer for me. And I've had friends that have done it in the past. Samuel J. Comroe, who was on season 13 and got 4th place. He's one of my best friends in the world. So kind of seeing what it did for him and how it changed his life and how it let him get that platform as well, I was like, this is the path I want to go.
Well, it's very smart. I mean, in your intro package last week, it was just hugely inspirational. And I want to play a clip from that right now.
Before America's Got Talent, I was the starving artist, driving 12 hours to get to a show that I was barely making, $200-300 on. Now, instead of me driving 5 hours, I'm having fans drive 5 hours to come see me.
I mean, even that last moment, I think, just shows, the juxtaposition of how your life has changed. But can you tell us a little bit more about how this whole experience has changed your life?
Oh, I've been joking when I say it, but I'm a 13-year overnight sensation. That's basically how this has worked. Because telling those stories, that's 100% true. To make it in comedy, it's a very expensive hobby for a while. You put more into it than you get back. You drive these incredibly long times just to get the stage time and just hope. My career is littered with shows, in a dive bar in the middle of Kentucky for 3 career drunks who don't even know it's comedy night and won't let us turn the TVs off. Like, that's kind of how I cut my teeth. Like, I didn't just decide, hey, I'm pretty funny, I'm going to go on TV now.
Of course.
There's so much more to it than that. So now the fact that that I've kind of quote unquote made it and I get to do these kind of better gigs, I am so appreciative. I know none of this lasts forever, so I'm running with the ball while I have it and just loving life. I'm forever grateful. I
mean, it's literally the world stage, so this has got to be such a good moment for you. What would you do if you win the whole thing?
If I won the whole thing, I'd celebrate that night and then I'd get back to work. This is what I love to do. So regardless of what happens, if I win, hey, maybe I can expand a little more globally. I would love to, perform in Europe, perform in Australia, things like that. I would love to just keep this going, but the world's stuck with me at this point. I'm sorry, but you're just going to have to deal with me always performing because this is what I love to do.
Well, Ryan, even just that, I mean, it's so inspirational. We're glad to be stuck with you. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Good luck on everything. Catch America's Got Talent, The Champions, Monday nights at 8/7 Central on NBC.